Hey everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Power of Audio podcast. And you might be wondering, what are you doing recording a podcast on your channel? You're only doing gaming videos. Well, that's gonna change starting today because this is going to be a monthly thing, at least I hope so. We're gonna record roughly one episode a month, and it's gonna be dedicated to audiobooks, which is one of our bigger passions since, I don't know, the moment we were capable of understanding words, probably. I have listened to way too many audiobooks in my time, and now that we have a little bit of time on our hands, we decided, you know what? It would be fun to just show people how much fun audiobooks could be, but also what can go wrong with making audiobooks or what makes them really, really good. Depends on the book in question. So I hope you come along and enjoy the ride. First of all, a bit of self introduction. For people that are new to this channel, I'm OJ. I'm the person who made this channel, and I mostly make Trills gameplay videos, but I also love audiobooks, and that's how we got to this podcast. And I'm here today with Tara, and yeah, can you do a little self introduction?
Yeah, sure. Hi, nice to collaborate in this way together because we know each other for quite a while, if I might say. I'm also a big Audible book user because I'm blind, so audiobooks are for me, number one to entertainment besides music. And when OJ came up with an idea, yeah, I wanted to do a podcast about audiobooks, but I have no one. And I was sitting next to him. I literally poked him in the ribs and said, "Hello, hi, I'm here." So we decided to at least give it a try. And if we can keep up, it would be amazing. And it would be a way for us to interact with you and to interact with each other on a level that we not always do, I think.
No,
So, ah.
it's kind of started. We've known each other, I don't know, since we were 4 years old, maybe.
Yeah, I think maybe younger. I think since we were toddlers or something around there.
I
And
I don't
then
I don't
and
know for sure.
yeah, and then during elementary school not so much, and then after we had the summer camps, that was amazing, to be honest. And now we are back and we are connected together, which is great.
It really is. Those summer camps were something. Like everyone was always just like, why are these two people interacting with each other in such a like familiar way? How does this work? How does this relationship work?
Yeah, yeah, indeed. Because for your explanation, we were two worlds apart. Also in character and in, yeah, also in appearance, but it was always very funny to that there always was and still is a connection between us. And yeah, people found that funny, and we do too, I guess, right now.
And it still works. This relationship still works just as well as it did when we were 10 years old or something.
Yeah, indeed.
So yeah, first episode of this podcast, and we decided to do a series that we are. I don't know when we started listening slash reading it. We were really young. I know that for a fact. But it's the Harry Potter series, and unfortunately, we are now in a situation where we have to clarify that we do not support the bullshit that J.K. Rowling puts on Twitter, because unfortunately, that is a thing you're kind of obligated to do whenever you make anything Harry Potter related. It kind of sucks. The books are still really, really good, and I kind of just want to separate it from the author who decided to just try to make other people's life miserable. I'd rather not go into that in further detail. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, and I especially don't want to go further into this because of the fact that there are more people involved in projects such as audiobooks, and especially this specific project, which we will go into in a little bit, that are not J.K. Rowling. Just because J.K. Rowling does horrible shit doesn't mean that everyone involved in the projects also does. and it's kind of unfair to judge a project based on one person's stupidity. That is where I will end this off. And for this episode, we're gonna talk about the first three Harry Potter books. So that's Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. And the reason we're doing that specifically is because we're talking today about the full-cast audio editions. And
Yeah, and that fact is already really funny because when we started to discuss about this podcast in the train and in our favorite theme park, which is also a very good fact to mention, I was like, yeah, sure, we can do it, but just one book at a time. And he was like, yeah, sure. And we talked about, well, what will we do, what genre should we pick, etc., etc. And then he came up with, do you know that there are Harry Potter full cast audio editions? And I was like, no, I didn't. And he says, yeah, they are very nice. And you started talking, you started hyping, as you are very good in. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do the first book then. And you recommended the first book to me and sent me the link. And I guess 2 or 3 days later, I sent it to you. Oh my god, this is amazing! I need the other 2, the other 6. Well, my plan was to, take it slow, absorb the information, let it come over me. But I was in. I was in. And Harry Potter is also for me something that I started listening to when I was a preteen. And some periods less, some periods more. And we all have personal preferences in the books and maybe in the movies. I'm not really a movie watcher, but that's not this part. I am currently in chapter 16 of The Prisoner of Azkaban. So I'm really great up to speed, I think, for this thing. Yeah.
It's kind of funny how fast this happened. Just to give you all an idea, we were recording this on the 25th of May, 2026, and we went to go to that theme park like less than 2 weeks ago. And in that period, she finished 2 books, and she's now in book 60, chapter 16 of book 3. That is really
not book 6, not too fast, huh? Not too
no, I don't know. I don't want a book 16. Book 8 was bad enough.
Yeah, true.
We're gonna not acknowledge Harry Potter and the Cursed Child further than this. We're not.
True. Really looking forward to book 6 though, but that will be maybe for another time.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get there.
So the thing of the fullcast audio series is that for me as a blind person, it is how I wanted to experience a movie. Because there's one storyteller, in this case it's one, it can be more, I think. In this case it's one storyteller, and all things, animals, characters have separate voices or sounds. So you hear basically everything that's happening around you. And you mentioned at first, OJ, that it can be a little bit overwhelming.
It was for me, at least.
Quarters. That's right. That's what I heard.
Yes, their son, Harry.
I did not have the same experience, but because I was so fully into it that I was like, yeah, there happens much, but it somehow works. And not all, like, we have some specific details to discuss later, but yeah. Do you have any headlines to share?
I sure do. Same here. So it's really funny to me to listen to this in English. That's a new experience for me because, as you might know, we're both Dutch native speakers. I listened to all of them in Dutch first, read by a guy called Jan Meng, and he did voices for all of them on his own, which was really fun to listen to. It was sometimes a bit jarring, especially when he decided to go extremely high pitch like this. That was really funny. That doesn't really happen in the focused audio editions. but I had the chance to interview him at some point, and he specifically told me, I might put this in here. Sorry, people I work for the audio magazine. I will reuse recordings that I have. But they he basically told me that doing those extremely high pitched, ridiculous voices was one of his favorite things to do, and he in book five. This a bit ahead of time, but he told me that in book 5 specifically, there is this entire passage where he has to keep up that voice for like half an hour of dialogue, and he went absolutely insane. He was like, "Oh, it's not over. It's still not over. It's still not over." Dat was really
Wat is je
fun.
favoriete personagestem die je ooit hebt gedaan?
Ja, verdorie. Dat is nou altijd die vraag. Maar ik moet eerlijk zeggen, ik geef vaak het voorbeeld van Knijster. Omdat ik Knijster eigenlijk ontzettend fijn vind. Alleen het kan niet voor de luisteraar om gewoon dat lang te doen. Maar ik zou het heel graag willen. Dat is jullie straf. Om te luisteren naar Jan. Ja, Knijster.
That was what my experience basically was with the Harry Potter audiobooks for years until I got to the full cast audio editions. And it's really cool to have a voice that for every character, and one of the ones that I'm really happy about that finally has a voice properly is the Poltergeist, because he isn't in the movie. Peeves the Poltergeist, because he isn't in the movies. And there's a funny story about that too, actually, because there was an actor cast for him too. He was so funny apparently that the child actors just couldn't act with him around. So they had to cut him out of the production, which really sucks.
Oh no.
He was too good. He was too good at his job. But it's really cool to have him have a voice for him now, and I can't wait for the TV show, where I hope that he actually exists. Who knows?
Yeah, that will be nice, because there are more characters. You told me last time that like a character which in the books is later but also mentioned in book 1, like Charlie Weasley, is also not existing in the movies. You told me, and I felt heartbroken about that.
He's so cool though.
Yeah, he's cool, but that's he's mentioned in book 1 with the letter, and there he has a voice too. There's something to mention, because when they read messages from, for instance, now and this time Charlie Weasley, they read the message out with the actor voice, which is really nice done.
Dear Ron, how are you? Thanks for the letter. I'd be glad to take the Norwegian Ridge back.
It's especially important because Harry Potter has this thing called howlers. And, oh god, howlers are hilarious in the Focus audio editions, especially when there's supposed to be whiplash. They are very good at creating that whiplash. You mentioned that too. It's so funny.
Oh yeah, indeed. It was like a howler is something for non-Harry Potter readers, users, watchers, whatever. It's a if you got done something really bad, a person from your family or something can send you a howler, which is basically a red envelope. When you open it, it will explode, and the message will be screamed 100 times stronger in your face than it will have done when the person was right in front of you. So it's really, really a shame, but for the listener, really hilarious, because the classic Molly Weasley screams a lot, and yeah, it's fun because the voices are really, really edited great in that kind of section.
Stealing the car! I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd expelled you!
It's really fun, and especially that first howler. We are jumping a bit back and forth between the books. I apologize for that in advance.
But
But in
that is
book
how we
2
are, so yeah.
in book 2 we have this first howler, and Molly Weasley screams at Ron because he stole a car and it's all your fault. And then she just turns around. Oh, Ginny, we're so proud of you for going to going to Gryffindor. And she's like, uh-huh.
Yeah,
Sure.
she is absolutely famous for the dramatic turnarounds, because in the first or second scene of book 2, she screams to their sons and then she turns to Harry. Hello, Harry dear. Well, she was like screaming over her sons that they had done something really bad and she was very disappointed in them, and then being really nice and yeah, being really nice and kind to Harry. Yeah.
He can
That's
do
fine.
no wrong, basically.
Yeah, for her he can. You cannot.
No. And it's also really funny when Arthur shows up, the dad of the Weasley family, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you flew that car. How did it go?" And she's like, "Arthur."
Yeah. Yeah. Classic Molly Weasley. I hope in the series she will be as great as in the full cast audios. I hope so.
Same here. I specifically we're gonna get to that in the second episode, but the legendary scene in book 7 is phenomenal in the focused audio editions.
Oh yeah, you are much ahead of me. Don't
I'm
spoil
not. No. I'm just gonna say it's phenomenal. You know what I'm.
You are
You
not
know.
spoiling. You are teasing.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am indeed teasing
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to book 6 though. So
Yeah. It's really good. We're gonna get there when we get there. In the meantime, though, what I really like about the focused audio editions, which I haven't really seen other audiobooks before, even the ones where they had multiple actors portray specific characters, they have background cast characters. Like, you know that you're in a city because you hear other people talking in the background, and sometimes there are just other conversations going on, which is very funny. I don't know how they came up with them, because sometimes you can actually hear what the conversation is about, and it's just a lot of random shit that
Yeah.
isn't in the book.
and
Yes.
sometimes it's this deep of details that you can actually hear who is talking. That even the subjects are random. You can sometimes hear that it's Draco, or that it's Ron and Hermione, that it's Longbottom. You can hear which character is which is very great.
That brings us a little bit back to why we're doing book 1 to 3 specifically, because here's the thing. Obviously, due to the fact that these audiobooks were released on a monthly basis, they had to switch voice cast for at least the child actors at some point. Because you can't use Harry Potter's actor for book 1 for book 7. That is not how that works.
No.
So they decided to do that in book 4, which I think makes the most sense. That's the book
Yeah.
where they are 14, like you're in full puberty at that point.
And you feel a little bit, at least I do, in book 3 when you're speaking to like 13 and 14-year-olds, that some people sounds like babies. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I have this with Longbottom, with Neville Longbottom, and I'm like, he sounded like a baby. But it's great. It's great that his voice is trembling and a little bit squealed, like high pitched, and that's okay and that fits him. But when you think that the character is almost turning 14, then you're like, okay, maybe it's time for a little bit more, you know?
Maturity, yeah. And they did do that, fortunately, in the later books. And that's another thing, is that I don't know if there are specific actors that stood out to you, but one that I found really annoying, maybe on purpose, but still really annoying, was Draco Malfoy in the first 3 audiobooks. He's so, like, the way he laughs is so annoying, and it's
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not really bothered by him. I have other persons where I'm more fell over than over the voice of Malfoy. But I know what you mean. The like the hint of sarcasm. I know what you mean. There.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna put a little bit of a sample in here. I'm gonna do that more often, probably, because it's just fun to show you what they did with the voices and with the sound design. It's really cool.
Say that again.
Oh, you're gonna fight us, are you?
Unless you get out now.
One other voice that I didn't. It's not that I thought it was bad, but it was a little bit different from what I would expect. What I expected it to sound like is Snape's voice.
Yeah, agree. I hoped already that you was picking it up as I did, but tell me, let's go. Go on.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I don't think it's it's a bad voice per se, but I expected Snape to be a bit more snarky and just a really like to annoy, just a little bit more of an annoying voice, but like, it's a bit too, how would I say it,
To neutral?
neutral, yeah.
Yeah, I share that. Not that I wanted a really annoying voice for him, but that does not good to the character. But I was expecting a little colder, like a colder tone of voice, like more maybe a bit lower and talking a bit slower to make his statements, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And to be fair, I'm very used to the movie voice of Snape, who has the weird tendency to stop halfway through sentences at points where it doesn't make any sense to do so.
Yeah, that's also not what I will say that is the greatest solution for this, but to have a voice that's a little bit, yeah, a little more harsh, a little more slow, that will fit. Not that it don't do now, but I observe to myself that I'm really getting bored when the conversations with Snape take too long, and I'm like, okay, I know. I'm really a fan of rereading, so I read books multiple times, indeed with Harry Potter, in Dutch, in English, both I have done. So I know the scenes really well, and I also have an idea of how long things can take on. So I have also with Focus Audio sometimes the thing to just scroll, just scroll a bit until this conversation is over. Not because of the quality, but just because of I'm not interested of half an hour same conversation, which I already knew. Is that something you do, or you are fully go on listener?
So it depends on the book, really. There were, for example, book 6. I really like certain passages, and I decided to just listen to the ones that I really wanted to do. And same happened with book 7. If people know book 7, a lot of it is just a camping trip. And I decided to just listen to the cool passages. But for book 1 through 3 specifically, I mostly listened to the entire thing, like back to back, and that worked out very well. There were some little instances where I skipped through them, specifically Draco Malfoy, because as I mentioned before, I find him really a bit annoying sounding.
And there's
It's
a lot of Draco Malfoy in the second book, I believe. Or
the
in the
second
third.
book.
In the third.
Oh yeah, the third book especially when he. I mean, it's a lot of Draco Malfoy and his dad just messing up everything.
Yeah.
But also in book 2, you have this one passage where they go to the Slytherin common room, and
Oh
there's
yeah,
this
I
entire
like that part.
yeah,
Oh.
there's this entire conversation with Draco Malfoy, and then he's like, I hope that, but it basically boils. It's a bit more complicated. It's with the snake and stuff, but it basically boils down to I hope that Hermione dies, basically. And he says that line, and then he does his stupid laugh again, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, the laugh is a bit aimed to be sarcastic, but it is that frequent that you think, I don't know. Yeah.
Are there any actors that you really like specifically?
Ooh, yes. McGonagall. Professor Minerva McGonagall. Absolutely RIP for the actress. But yeah, she's great. In this book, all the emotions, the anger, the everything on her is so nice. And her walking, you hear the person's walk as well. So you hear the way she walks on her, it sounds like high heels, or at least heels. And everything she does, from the introduction to the confiscating of the broom in the third book, everything I like. And especially, which I came on through yesterday evening, was the winning of the Quidditch Cup. And she was screaming in the back, and that was amazing to hear her. To hear her screaming and sobbing, and I was like, but this person is so well done. Yeah, absolutely.
Low and cowardly attempt to sabotage the Gryffindor Seeker. Detention for all of you.
Props to Michelle Gomez for voicing her.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I could have knew that you wish that you know we the names were. Yeah.
I specifically have the side up with all the cast members. So don't worry about it.
Nice. Yeah. And
Look,
you?
So yeah, McGonagall also a really, really good one. I like Voldemort too. So that's another one. You might say, hey, why don't you pronounce the T? That's because they don't do that in the audiobooks. Apparently, Joanne Rowling decided to announce on Twitter, as she tends to do, that in fact the T is silent because it comes from French, which apparently means flee from death or something like that. But as a result, they decided to actually pronounce it without the T, and I'm curious how that's gonna go into the series. But the person who voiced Voldemort is actually very convincing, where he is not hilariously evil, but he is also threatening with his voice. It's just really cool.
I am really curious to the voices of the Death Eaters, the Bellatrix Lestrange figures, which I'm not came through yet, but I'm really curious to that. And indeed to the scenes where Voldemort speaks to persons directly. Yeah, I'm really curious to that.
Yeah. I liked adult Voldemort. I also really liked Tom Riddle, like the
Yeah,
like 16-year-old
in
Tom
the
Riddle.
second book. In the second
Yes.
book from the diary. Yeah. That was a nice fitting voice for him. Yeah.
Because
Like
it doesn't even sound that threatening, but his entire thing at that point is being a charmer and like really convincing individual.
Yeah, and that worked.
Yeah, it worked really, really well. There's one thing I don't even know if I dislike it, but it was a little bit getting used to. The Focus Audio Editions use a lot of sound effects, and they use a lot of voices, and they use a lot of background noise, but what they also do is they use surround sound. And it's sometimes a bit off-putting when you're listening and randomly one person comes from the left and one other person comes from the right. Like,
yeah, indeed. I discovered that myself, and I'm really I'm listening with headphones, and you do too, I guess. And that's also what I would recommend when you listen to these books. Use a headphone, because then you will have all benefit. And for instance, I work with audiobooks also around the house, so when I wash my dishes, etc. And sometimes I have conversations with people, or I need to hear something. Then I put my headphone offside, and then I have just one voice at some point. And I was like, oh, this is not really the full quality that I was expecting. Yeah, sometimes can be really confusing.
It's really interesting how they decided to do that. And I don't know if you had the same experience, but I have the feeling that it's a lot more in book one than any other book. Not that they didn't do it in the later ones, but it is a lot more noticeable in book one.
It just stood not out to me like that, but it could be. You could be right. I'm expecting you are 7 books in, so
That is true. That is true. It's something that you actually have to make time for, and sometimes if you're listening to an audiobook like we do while doing other stuff, you might not want that because sometimes you just put on one of your earbuds or one ear of your headset, and you do other stuff while paying attention to things that need your attention for a little bit too, while also listening to the audiobook. And if that's something you mostly do, then that might be something you have to consider when listening to the Focus audio editions.
That's simply not how they made. That's simply not how they designed. Like they are designed to be, surround, and that's okay. That's cool, but it also can take a bit more focus in that way. Yeah.
Another passage that I really, really liked, and I don't know if I mentioned this when we were in the theme park, that they kind of cut out the entire Vernon Dursley chapter in movie one. It was really fun to hear that entire chapter because I love that chapter so much. It gives you so much context for the magical world, but also the fact that Vernon Dursley knows that it exists and is just really, really scared of it. He just pretends that it doesn't exist. He just keeps, like, he sees the signs and he's like, oh no, a cat is reading a map. Nah, cats can't read a map. And then he's like, now the cat is reading the sign of the street name. But cats can't read street names. Oh, I must be imagining things. And then the narrator literally just goes, that was the first time he ever hoped that because he was against imagination.
Yeah, this characters, because they are their whole family, are created to be so normal as you can imagine. And then they mean normal as in boring. And he's doing a really good job in pretending he is. Yeah.
He really is. But like they are not really normal. They are like a very non-functioning family, though they kind of try to hide it and they don't even believe so themselves. It's really funny.
And even there in the first chapters of book one, that was where I started to enjoy like all the surroundings, because they mentioned that he works at a company for drills and you hear drills, and I was like, yeah, right, this is fun. You hear the storyteller mention they're here surrounded by strange people on the street. You hear people walking on the street. And even later, the part that I started to enjoy the most was the motorbike. When they mentioned they hear a strange roaring sound, you hear that sound too. Sometimes the timing is not completely, and that's just nitpicking what I'm doing now. Sometimes the timing is not perfect. The storyteller mentioned a sound before the sound happens, but it also at the end it makes no sense because you hear the motorbike, and if that's before or during or after that the story is told, yeah, whatever. But it was amazing to hear that, and I was talking about it to other friends as well. There are a lot of more people interested in this kind of storytelling, and I hope myself, and I know and you know that it takes a lot of time, a lot of work, and a lot of money.
Yeah, resources. Yeah.
Of course, resources at all. Yeah, it's such a great concept that can give an extra layer to people who enjoy audio in general and who enjoy stories. Yeah, and we know that reading and listening, that's different for everyone. When I mention I have read a book, mostly means I have listened to a book. But I know that there are people who are like very into physical books, and they are like, audiobooks are boring. They are read at the same voice during like 10 to sometimes 30 hours. That is not true, and especially with these versions, it is not true. It is as if you are looking and listening to. Yeah, musical does not cover the full thing, but yeah, as I
I think
mentioned
you
earlier,
said it.
it's like,
I think
yeah,
you said it best earlier. Is that it's kind of how a blind person would imagine a movie to be. It's
yeah,
you have the narrator who is basically the screen. You're looking at the screen, which is the narrator tells what's on screen, and then you have all the sound effects and the voices of every other character that is acting out their role, and it's really cool.
it is really cool, and it gives an extra layer to even the books where I was personally like, when I am rereading, I have specific books to grab, and that's for me the first one and the sixth one, but not especially the second one. But even with this Volcas audio series, the second one was so much better. It was so much enjoyable for me. Yeah.
Yeah, because you have this. There are a lot of instances in almost all of them where if you just have a narrator that just reads it in like a monotone voice or even on his own, it's just not that interesting because it just like, oh, this happened and this happened and then this happened, and it's not very enjoyable. One of the instances in book two that I can immediately think of is just the entire, like, is it like 10-minute long sequence of Harry in Tom Riddle's diary. He gets teleported to Tom Riddle's diary, and he arrests Hagrid during that chapter. But a lot of it is just Harry, Tom Riddle parallels, where he is like, "Oh no, I don't want to leave Hogwarts. Hogwarts is my home," and then he tries to convince the principal at the time. What is his name again? Professor Tippett or something? It's
Yeah, something like that. I don't know it for sure, but
I guess time to put in an audio clip to hear what is who is his name is pronounced.
yeah,
But whatever.
yeah.
The we have that man, and he's like, yeah, no, this is not safe because a girl died because of the Slytherin monster. So we kind of can't keep the school alive, let alone let someone be there for the entirety of summer vacation. That is not doable. So Tom Riddle's like, I wanna. What if the culprits get caught, which is extremely easy to do because spoilers, he is the culprit. So he just needs to make up someone else to blame for this problem, and then just stop attacking people. Problem solved. Really easy. So he arrests Hagrid under false pretenses. But though, to be fair, Hagrid didn't make it better for himself. He very much did not.
Oh, I love him, and in some chapters I hate him. It's really an in between. And speaking of a great voice actor, he does a great job. He does a great job with all his emotions, and this man cries a lot. To be honest, in every book he cries at least one time, sometimes more. It's great. Hagrid's work is great, and that of all persons, he is the link in this, alternative universe, but not completely alternative. In the past, yeah, it makes sense, but it was like choosing a character that is innocent, that knows that is innocent, but that does something that is not innocent. You know what I tried to say? It's like what
Yeah.
Hagrid did was not innocent, but it was not where he was arrested for.
You know what Lucius Malfoy's like. Threatened him, I expect. And the executioner, McNair, he's an old pal of Malfoy's.
No, it was like a very innocent kind of stupidity where he was like, I want this giant spider to have a good life, so I'm just gonna take care of this extremely dangerous creature, which I then make sure that he doesn't attack people, which didn't happen, to be fair. Not until later. Spoil.
Yeah,
Oh god.
if you are scared of spiders, ooh, you will have a hard time. You will have a hard time in this book.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
I'm not personally, but so I know that a lot of people are.
I am really curious how that works out because, you know, I don't know. I know some people are just really scared of seeing spiders, but I don't know if you would be scared when someone describes a passage like that in the book.
I don't know. I don't know how that works. But for me, when you read or listen to a book, you will make the image up in your head, like, and then hearing the description of that giant black hairy eight-legged spider, then I think you will have the
Yeah,
shivers
maybe. Maybe you're right.
in a
But
few
yeah.
seconds.
But anyway, credits to Mark Eddy for voicing Rubius Hagrid in the Fullcast audio editions. He does indeed do a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
There's
Great.
there are a lot. There's a lot of good actors. And I love some of those really silly passages. I remember one of my favorite ones in book one is once again I just love chapter one. I love a lot of
Yeah.
the chapter one chapters in Harry Potter. To
Yeah.
be fair.
Yeah.
My absolute favorite will be in next episode with Harry Potter 6 because that chapter is peak fiction. It's so good. It's my favorite Harry Potter chapter in any of them. It's really good, and it's not in the movie again.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Yeah. Book 6 is indeed also one of my favorite. And I guess I can say the favorite. Yeah, I will say that. Yeah.
It's a really good one. But I'm still contemplating if I like book 6 or book 3 more. Book 3 is really good. It's there are so many good characters, and I really like book 3 for a reason that. So, book Harry Potter has this format. Like if you pay attention, it's a very noticeable pattern. Is that Harry Potter is in danger, and 90% of the time it's caused by the teacher of Defense Against the Dark Arts. Like 99% of the time, you have first Professor Quirrell, who literally has Voldemort on the back of his head. Then you have Professor
Gilderoy
Lockhart, who lost himself. And can we just give props to that absolute legend who voiced him? He is phenomenal. He's so funny.
Am I a professor? Goodness. I expect I was hopeless, was I?
He is funny. He's annoying at first, but he turned out really funny. And he lost himself is indeed. He lost his mind because of a spell he was trying to do, blah blah blah. At a certain point they tried to get his attention. He said, Professor, I am a professor. Am I a professor? It's really fun.
I couldn't possibly. I would be terrible at it.
He turned from extremely arrogant and annoying to extremely gullible. So yeah, and that's exactly the right word.
yes, no, you're right, and I love. So this is not in the audiobooks, but I think it fits him so well in movie 2, where he has like in his classroom he has paintings of himself painting a painting of himself.
Now that detail's not in the book, indeed, but it really fits him.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's really funny, and you already like the second he shows is mentioned, you immediately know that he's just a terrible person because he like the first thing he does like his introduction like secretly is him just showing up and on the book list for Hogwarts, which apparently all of his books are extremely expensive, which we know because the Weasley family has trouble getting all of them. But then like you're like, why the fuck do we have to buy like all of these guys' books? Turns out that's because he is the teacher of the dark arts. He just makes all of the students buy his own books.
And it's not completely true that he is a dark arts, because he is totally not. He's absolutely scared of the dark arts, which is not true with Professor Quirrell and the other professors.
That was what I was trying to get to, but the book 3 breaks this convention where the professor who gives the dark arts is the villain. For once in the entire series, that is not true. And I can tell you, because I had to check again, this is actually true for every single book except book 3 and book 7.
Yeah,
Because in book,
indeed.
although in book 7
Yeah,
it's
book
also
7, it's also true, but
they
it's
are
not
not
connected to the characters.
not
Yeah.
connected to the characters, but also not really like they are not the main antagonist for the most part. Not really true for book 2 either, but like they are not really an important antagonist. You have like the in book 7 you have the Quellos. Like they give I think Muggle studies and
Defense
against the dark arts. Or not really defense against the dark arts. It's just called dark arts at that point, and they just. I remember what they did because it was horrible. They made Neville practice the Cruciatus curse on first years, which he refused to do.
Yeah, of course he did.
Book 3 doesn't do this. Because we actually, for once in existence, we have a very competent dark arts teacher. To be fair, book 4 did too.
Yeah, but the roots of book 4 are a little bit deeper than that.
Yes. But like, book 3 has one of my favorite characters, Remus Lupin, who is really cool. He is a phenomenal character. He's layered, but also he has one of my favorite just dynamics with Harry as a teacher. It's really sweet.
Yeah, and it's sweet, but it's also when you know the layers indeed, and the layers great to mention. Then you see that it's not only from kindness, but it's also from guilt.
Yeah.
And from grief from a person that he known, but that person is not Harry.
Well, there's that, but also the fact that this guy's life sucks. It sucks ass. He got turned into a werewolf, got shunned by society, then he got accepted into Hogwarts with help from Dumbledore, and he needed to painfully transform because there was no cure against that whatsoever at that point. And then he finally gets friends who support him and
who see him for who he are and not for the monster he become.
Exactly.
Or he thinks he
becomes. And they can actually stand by him because they do this extremely difficult magic that allows them to transform into animals.
Yeah.
And support him through all of that. And then he's finally happy. He finally has somewhere to belong, even though he kind of broke Dumbledore's trust in the process of hanging out with these friends of his.
Of course, but that's the early generation, like Golden Trio, right?
Basically.
This is 4, 3 and 1, to be honest. But yeah.
3 and 1 miserable dipshit. But that's
yeah.
Or really a pathetic rat, I must say. That fits better, I think.
That fits.
Yeah. They have this entire thing, and then the war happens. The first Wizarding War happens, or the second Wizarding War, however you want to look at it. It's the first war against Voldemort.
Yeah, and first, I think.
Yeah, but I don't know if you would count the war against Grindelwald as the first Wizarding War. I don't.
Yeah, true.
That's why I say second, I guess.
I don't know that lore, to be honest, now.
It's only in the Fantastic Beasts movies, and we never finished that, so we never know how it ended. It sucks. I really still want to see the end of that story. The Wizarding War happens, and in basically the span of of 5 minutes, he just loses 2 of his best friends, his other friend, 2 of his best friends, the wife of one of his best friends, and the other guy who we thought was his best friend just turns out to be the one that made it so that they died. So he goes to prison and he loses just his entire support system.
And then there he was back to his youth where he was like an orphan. Which he was not completely, but turned into. Which is really hard. When you, like, I guess this time span is around, like, when he was 20, 21, something like that?
Something like that. I think that
maybe
Harry's
a bit older, but not much.
I think Harry's parents were like 21 or 22. They
Yeah.
came out of Hogwarts and then they immediately started fighting Voldemort. So it's
Yeah.
not really. They couldn't have been much older than 20.
Yeah, that's bizarre to think about.
That is one thing that the movie is just completely messed up as because of who they cast for Snape, because they cast a 35-year-old actor for Snape, so they needed to do something similar to for Harry's parents, which obviously doesn't work because they weren't that old.
No, I don't feel that. So I actually feel that they were very young, courageous in that sense.
Yeah. But that's the cool thing, and Lupin immediately makes himself very likable by just taking no shit from Peeves specifically.
Yeah, I know that there are out and about a lot of Lupin fans, and I will not describe myself as a big fan, but I can feel the value. Yeah, I like it.
He's a very likable character, especially in the earlier books. He makes himself very unlikable in book 7, but we will get there when we get there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's unlikable because. Let's save that up.
I will. Oh, if you don't think he's unlikable in that book, I will have something to say then. But we'll get there when we get there. Indeed.
We get it. Yeah, I know which you pointing out. I know, but I also see the patterns lying under there. You know.
Oh no, certainly, but like it's not healthy. That's the problem. It's but whatever.
But it's a classic move, though.
Yeah, yes it is. There.
We can do this for hours, you know that, eh?
We can.
Yeah.
It's we're already recording for almost an hour here. One of the other things that it's worth pointing out for the Harry Potter focus audio editions, which are a little bit of a mixed bag in my opinion, are the sound effects.
Oof, yes.
Some of them are really good, and then sometimes you have really silly, cartoony sound effects that don't make any sense. One of my favorites being Quidditch.
Yeah, the flying brooms and the balls and I was mentioning it too, and you was like, "Oh, I know." And it is, and it's also logical. We can, turn to it and face it like, yeah, but how will flying on a broom sound like? Yeah, I don't know. I am not a witch. Okay, some people do say that, but that's in another way. But I don't know, and you don't know either, and actors don't know too. Because it's such a thing out of this world to sound, and they used to like a swoosh sound. Is that the most thing to describe it?
Yeah,
like,
basically
yeah.
that.
And yeah, and then some more like whistling sound for another bowl, and brooms are swooshing, and it's also funny. They scream to each other as if you can hear each other when you fly in the ground.
Slithering Captain Marcus Flint keens a quaffle and off he goes. Flint's flying like an eagle up there. He's going to
This would be way too loud, but hey, let's assume that they somehow can.
Yeah, it's fantasy. Yeah, we talk about this, and it's just, and the Dementor sound are really. It gives me vibes to one of our favorite attractions. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
A bit, not completely, but the rustling sound of the breath, the airy sounds around it, that does give me some attraction vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can hear what you mean there. It's just it's something that I just at some point was like, okay, I just have to acknowledge that the sound effects are silly, and then just deal with it.
Yeah, that's the price you pay, I think. The sound effects are existing, and the voice actors are great. So what do you care more? Yeah, personally, voice actors for me.
Yeah.
And not all sound effects are bad. The opening of the doors, the walking indoors and outdoors, walking out in the snow, they did a great job with that as well. Yeah.
That was really good. Yeah.
And the animals, not all animals, because some magical creatures are really hard to give a sound to again. But the squeaking of the owls, the rat, the cat is also really great done. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can hear it purring on someone's lap when he's around you. It's well done. There's absolutely put time and effort in it.
There is
Some
a
things,
lot
yeah,
of production
a
quality
lot.
here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah, yeah.
it makes me just wish that there were more of these made, not just for Harry Potter, but just more series that had
Yeah,
this.
me too. Because this will be great for a lot of more concepts, from simple urban fantasy to a really dark fantasy. I can think of a lot of series who can have much more depth in giving real voice actors to. And again, the sound effects will be again the point where we think, is that what you imagine it to be? But on the other hand, yeah, we cannot reproduce magic spells in this world. We will, we will not know how that sounds.
Exactly. And that is a thing that makes this interesting. They have a lot of creative decisions to make. They know what the movie's voices sound like, and they know what the series is gonna sound like. And that's something that I like to point out too, is that not for a lot of characters, but specifically for Hermione in book 1 through 3, they actually got the actress who will play her in the HBO TV series to voice her in the books.
Oh, nice. That's great to know. It fits her. The younger Hermione, to be honest. It fits the younger Hermione.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how she's gonna perform on screen, because we now know that she can do the voice very well.
Yeah.
But how is that gonna transfer to acting, like live action acting ability?
Yeah,
I assume it's gonna be just fine, but
I don't know. I don't see the screen, so.
no, that's completely fair. I am very interested in seeing it. I hope there's audio description and a Dutch dub. That is something that we can go into a little bit too. Is that I don't know how this goes for other translations of the Harry Potter books. Let us know in the comments, I suppose, or
yeah,
if you're listening,
of course.
If you're listening to a podcast service, I don't know if you can, but yeah.
Let us know how it is in your native language. For instance, in French or Spanish. I'm really curious what decisions they made with like character names and all that kind of things. That was what you yeah.
Yeah, that was what I'm going to bring up, because if you're translating, or I guess localizing, if I'm gonna borrow that word, which might piss some people off, a series, then you have to make decisions, and sometimes you have to decide if certain names work and certain terminology will work or not. And in Harry Potter, a lot of the names are puns. Like you have Professor Sprout, which is just a pun because she is the professor for like plant magic. So in Dutch
Herbology, yeah.
herbology, and in Dutch they translated her name as Professor Stronk, which is basically stump, like a tree stump.
Tree stamp, yeah.
Yeah. And we have a lot of those instances, and sometimes you get completely different names. I am especially curious what the full name of Voldemort is in your native language, because it stands to reason that every single language the book gets translated into, Tom Riddle's name needs to change because the anagram still needs to work. So in English it's Tom Esmodon Riddle, I believe.
That's the Dutch one.
Oh, I combined it. Oops. Tom Movolo Riddle, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
Movolo Riddle.
Movolo.
Yeah, Movolo Riddle. In Dutch, I already kind of combined them, but it's Martin Asmodon Vilijn. And Vilijn is kind of a pun too, because it kind of just means evil.
Yeah. Yeah, something in that street, indeed. Yeah.
It's not literally evil, like Vilijn. It's a little bit of a like. It's not a word that we tend to use very often, but
no, it's really old. It's old Dutch. No.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is fun to just think about how much fun the translator had. I actually have I give it to my grandfather actually, but I actually bought a physical copy of book 1 recently, which had an interview with the Dutch translator. I might read that at some point, which is really interesting. And a lot of other names got changed too, both for spells and for places and locations. Some of them are really good, some of them are really silly.
Yeah. And
Hogwarts gets translated as Zwijnstein, which is nothing. It means nothing, and it is nothing. I understand that they didn't want to make it Hogwarts because that is not easy to pronounce in Dutch. Like if you go from a Dutch word and then randomly to Hogwarts, that's kind of awkward. But Zwijnstein is really different and completely.
It sounds so silly.
It sounds really, really silly. But then on the other hand, we have really good translations too, like Diagon Alley being translated as De Weg is weg, which if you were to translate that literally in English, it would just mean the way is away.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's really fun. Another one that I think just works better in Dutch because they didn't retcon it halfway through the series is the sorry, I'm refusing to call it the Deluminator. They called it the Poetouder in book 1, and I will keep calling it the Poetouder in every book afterwards too. I don't know why J.K. Rowling decided to change it. Maybe she was like, oh, the name sounds dumb in English. I'm gonna change it retroactively while not changing it in the previous books re-releases. Deluminator. But
yeah.
in Dutch, it's called Uitsteker, which is funny because I don't know what is the English word for this actually. Like a
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. That's really bad of us. That's how you discover that we are not naturally English speakers.
Native English speakers, at least. Yeah, I mean sometimes you mess up and you don't know a word.
Yeah.
Let me look it up. Long live Google Translate. Nothing wrong here.
Yeah.
I'm totally gonna put.
Indeed.
It's just called a lighter. That makes sense. That makes sense. So yeah, it's in Dutch it's called the uitsteker, which if the Dutch word for a lighter is an aansteker, and the Dutch word for off is uit. So you have, instead of a lighter, you have the opposite of a lighter. It's really cool. It's a good translation.
Yeah, that's a great one, indeed.
And
Yeah,
it's
and
it's
when
kind
you
it's kind it's kind of fun, and I give props to the translator here because the English term was stupid. It was put outer. Like if they didn't even have to try. It was just uitsteker. It was gonna be that anyway, but now it makes even more sense than it did in the original language.
Yeah, true. And it's really, really funny when you know a book so, so, so well, because you have read it since your preteen times and in Dutch, and you started to do it in English, for me already a few times, uh, that you can recognize things even when it's not your natural language, and it makes learning a language, especially me, and I know that's also a lot easier to read something that you are so familiar with that you only have to find out, hey, there are some new words here. Are these words that are translated in Dutch, or are these completely new words from my vocabulary? So it helped me a lot with developing my language as well.
Yeah, I basically did the same. I was really bad at English in high school, and then in university, I basically, or not even university, it was in college really, but I graduated with a 10, which is basically the equivalent of the highest grade for whatever system you're using here. So that basically happened overnight, and the way that happened is also thanks to Harry Potter, and specifically the Potterless podcast. Thanks, Mike Schubert, for making that production, even if you don't really do anything with it anymore, and you spent most of the final movie episodes just dunking on J.K. Rowling, which was a choice.
Yeah.
I it didn't make the listening any more fun, but it happened, I guess. We had it did really help improve my English speaking skills, which is good.
Yeah. So I guess we can talk for hours and hours about this, but we can also do that in another episode about the other 4 books when I am able to get through them, and otherwise we do something in between, which you will see around online, hopefully. And I hope personally that you have enjoyed listening to us. And if you have something to say or a book recommendation, to be honest, looking to you, OJ, you have a lot of recommendations, but I do too. But it's also for us a great challenge to find something, not especially that we 100% like, which is true for this series, but cannot be true for everything, I bet. So if you have any recommendations, you know that some audios or that you have something like, how is this book translated to audio? Please let us know.
Yeah. If we certainly take recommendations, just make sure that you check beforehand if there is an audiobook version that we can actually get on either Google Play Books or Audible.
Yeah, that's really a necessity. Otherwise it becomes really, really challenging. Yeah.
Once again, thank you all for listening. If you got to all this dialogue here, another hour-long conversation, there will be a lot of us talking about random shit because that is what we do. Last time we met up, we spent 4 hours talking about things, like just because we could, and you will notice that a lot in this podcast too. If you have any recommendations about how we could improve things, both in production or in you want to hear about specific things, or if there are books that you want to recommend, leave a comment in the YouTube comment section. And yeah, we hope to hear from you soon.
Yes.
A very good day, everybody.